the queen who spoke every language except the word goodbye. The first time Captain Elias Wren saw Queen Salith, he forgot how to breathe, not because she was beautiful, though she was, not because her palace balcony hung over a city of light like a sunrise trapped in metal, but because the air on her seemed to listen. Holographic letters floated near her skin, soft and shifting, like fireflies made of meaning. Symbols glowed in thin golden lines along her neck and arms, intricate and precise. They did not look like decoration. They looked like warnings written by someone who understood the universe too well. Below her, the interstellar capital of Vera moved like a living ocean. Skylanes braided between towers, market drones hummed above plazas, ships slid in and out of docking rings, leaving thin trails that vanished before you could name the color. And yet, up on that balcony, everything slowed. Salith's expression was calm, almost gentle, like a queen who had already survived the worst thing that could happen, and was waiting for the next worst thing to arrive. Elias stood at the edge of the diplomatic platform, hands clasped behind his back, trying to look like he belonged. Humanity had only been invited because the Veran coalition needed something. They never invited anyone unless they needed something. The translator unit in his ear whispered the language around him in smooth, polite tones, Veran high speech, merchant code, dock patois, and the clipped rhythm of military cant, all of it flowed into him, neatly converted, like a river forced through a narrow pipe. But when Salith spoke to the court, the translator went silent, not broken, not confused, silent, like it was afraid to interrupt her. Her voice carried without effort. It changed its shape as it crossed the crowd. Some people heard their childhood tongue, some heard the language of their first love, some heard the words their mothers used when they were sick. Even the machines, the drones, the automated screens displayed her speech in flawless symbols. She spoke and the city understood. Elias felt it hit him in English, clean as a bell. "Today we welcome the humans," she said. "Today we pretend the universe is kind." A ripple went through the court, half laughter, half unease. It was a joke, but not the safe kind. It was a blade disguised as a smile. Elias stepped forward when his name was called. Captain Elias Wren, envoy of the Terran coalition, pilot of the outer lanes. He bowed in the human way, hand over heart, head lowered. Then he looked up. And Salith looked directly at him. For one heartbeat, he felt like she was not just looking at his face. He felt like she was reading the story of him, every fear, every promise, every secret he kept even from himself. "You crossed the black corridor of Sareth," Salith said. "You lost 3 crew and kept flying anyway. You brought back a child from the wreck of a pirate ship and told no one. You have nightmares you pretend are dreams." The court went still. Elias's throat tightened. That information was not in any file, not in any report, not in any database. That was him. He forced air into his lungs. "Your Majesty," he managed, "I am honored." Salith's expression softened, like she regretted the cut she had just made. "Honor is a word that makes people do foolish things," she said. "Please do not be foolish for me, Captain." Elias should have been alarmed. Instead, he felt something. Worse, he felt seen. The ceremony ended with controlled applause, with diplomatic smiles that never reached anyone's eyes. Elias was escorted through corridors lined with living crystal and slow floating lights. He passed murals of star maps and ancient ships. He passed a wall where the names of vanished species were engraved in a dozen scripts, all translated into all the others. A memorial you could read no matter what you were. His handler, a Veran official named Aroth, walked beside him. Aroth's skin shimmered faintly like mother of pearl. His eyes a dark reflective black. He kept his tone smooth, but his fingers kept flexing like he was holding back panic. "You should not speak long with the queen," Aroth murmured. Elias kept his voice low. "Why?" Aroth swallowed. "Because she will learn you, and then she will care." Elias frowned. "Caring seems like a good thing." Aroth's gaze darted toward the ceiling, toward hidden sensors, toward the palace itself. "Not here," he said. "Not in this century." They entered a private chamber with a wide window that looked out over the city. The skyline was bright, the traffic graceful, the distant docks busy. It all looked alive, it all looked normal, which made the cold inside Elias's stomach feel even colder. Aroth activated a privacy field, the air buzzing gently. Then he finally exhaled. "Captain," he said. "You were invited for a reason." Elias nodded. "I assumed." Aroth's voice lowered further. "War is coming," he said. "Not with pirates, not with border raiders, not with petty empires. With the choir." Elias had heard the name in scattered reports. A rumor that traveled along the deep lanes like a sickness. A civilization that did not conquer planets, it conquered languages. It arrived, and within days your people could no longer speak to each other. Commands failed, warnings failed, prayers failed. Societies tore themselves apart because meaning collapsed. "The choir does not kill first," Aroth said. "It removes your ability to coordinate. Then it waits for you to finish the job." Elias's jaw tightened. "Why tell me this?" Aroth's eyes fixed on him. "Because Queen Salith is our shield," he said. "She can speak to anyone. She can rebuild meaning when it breaks. She is the only reason we survived the choir the last time they came near our space." Elias felt the weight of that. A single person holding together a coalition of worlds. Through sheer linguistic force. That kind of power always had a cost. "What do you need from humanity?" Elias asked. Aroth hesitated, then said it anyway. "We need you to take her away." Elias blinked. "Take her?" Aroth's voice cracked. "Just a little. The choir is returning," he said, "and the queen cannot say the word that ends things. She cannot say goodbye." Elias stared, trying to fit that into the rest of the universe. Aroth continued, hands trembling now. "It sounds like a weakness," he said. "It is not. It is a wound." Elias leaned forward. "Explain." Aroth looked toward the door as if expecting it to open. Then he spoke. Fast, like confession. "When Salith was young, the old queen was her mother, and a human ship arrived, lost, broken, starving humans. Captain like you, desperate but proud. They begged for asylum. The court wanted to refuse. The old queen wanted to use them as leverage. But Salith, still a princess then, snuck them supplies, taught them our trade speech, helped them repair." Elias listened, throat tight. "They left," Aroth said, "and the princess followed them to the dock. She wanted to give them a blessing in their tongue. She had learned their language in secret. She wanted to say, 'Goodbye, safe journey, come back someday.'" Aroth's eyes shone as if the memory itself burned. But when she tried to say it, the word would not form. He said, her mouth moved, her breath came out, but the sound collapsed, as if the universe refused to allow that ending. Elias felt a chill. Aroth pressed on. The humans left anyway, and the next cycle. The choir passed through a nearby system. Our scouts returned, alive but broken. They reported the choir had taken the humans, not their bodies. Their language. The humans could not communicate even with themselves. Their ship drifted, their crew starved. Their signals became meaningless noise. Elias's fingers curled, and Salith blamed herself. Aroth said, "She believed that if she had said goodbye, if she had completed the blessing, the universe would have sealed them safe. She believed the unfinished word left a door open. She believed the choir walked in through that door." Elias's voice came out rough. "That is superstition." Aroth's mouth tightened. "Maybe," he said. "But then the old queen died, and Salith took the crown, and the choir approached our borders again. And Salith spoke. She spoke every language we knew, and the choir stopped. It listened. It hesitated. It turned away. As if her voice carried a rule even the choir could not break." Elias stared at the city outside, feeling suddenly small. "So where does the goodbye matter?" he asked. Aroth's gaze dropped. "Because the choir learned," he said. "It learned that Salith is the axis of our meaning. So now it aims at her. It does not want her dead. It wants her silent. It wants her to speak one word, and end herself, end us, end everything that holds." Elias felt his pulse thudding behind his eyes. You want me to kidnap your queen, he said. Eroth shook his head quickly. Not kidnap, he whispered. Rescue. Elias leaned back. He had flown through ion storms. He had watched friends die. He had negotiated with pirates who smiled while deciding if they would cut your throat. But this was new. A queen who spoke every language except the word goodbye. A civilization that devoured meaning. A request that sounded impossible. Eroth stepped closer, urgency rising. Humanity is different, he said. You are young, messy, loud. You break rules and keep moving. You tell stories even when the universe tells you to be quiet. Salith admires you, Captain. She does. I see it. And admiration is dangerous because it becomes attachment. Attachment becomes sacrifice, and sacrifice is what the choir wants. Elias swallowed. Why me, he asked. Eroth's eyes held his. Because she already saw you, he said, and you did not flinch. A soft chime filled the chamber. The privacy field flickered. Eroth stiffened, face going pale. The door opened, and Queen Salith stepped in. Alone, no guards, no attendants, just her, and the quiet weight of her presence. Eroth bowed so low his forehead nearly touched the floor. Your Majesty, he whispered. Salith looked at him with something like pity. You should not be afraid of me, she said. You should be afraid of what is coming. Her gaze shifted to Elias. Captain Wren, she said, tell me the truth. Are you the kind of human who runs when the stars turn hostile, or the kind who burns his own? Fear for fuel. Elias forced himself to stand straight. He heard Eroth's breathing, shallow and strained. He heard the city outside, distant and unaware. He heard his own heart, loud as a drum. I am the kind who keeps flying, Elias said, even when it hurts. Salith nodded once, like she had already known. Good, she said, because the choir has entered our outer lanes. The air changed, as if the word itself bent the room. Elias's stomach dropped so fast. Salith moved toward the window, looking down at the city. It is always fast, she said. It is the nature of hunger. Elias walked beside her, keeping respectful distance. What do you want from me, Your Majesty? Salith's golden tattoos glowed faintly, the symbols along her arms shifting, rearranging, translating each other as if even her skin refused to settle. I want you to do something cruel, she said softly. Elias frowned. I want you to leave, she said. I want you to take me with you. Eroth's head jerked up, shock flashing. Your Majesty. Salith lifted a hand, silencing him. Do not pretend you did not ask it, she said. I heard you through the field. I hear many things. Eroth bowed again, trembling. Forgive me. Salith's voice turned gentle, but the gentleness carried steel. I do not forgive fear, she said. I understand it. She looked at Elias again, eyes steady. The choir will not strike the city first, she said. It will strike the space between us. It will make allies mishear each other. It will make warnings sound like insults. It will make love sound like betrayal. Elias felt anger rise, hot and sharp. How do we fight something like that? He asked. Salith's lips parted, then closed. Her eyes flickered, just a fraction. A tiny tremor passed through her throat, like a door she could not open. We fight it with meaning, she said, and with a choice I have avoided for too long. She turned slightly, the daylight painting her face in warm gold. Captain Wren, she said, do humans have a word for leaving that does not kill what was? Elias's breath caught. Leaving that does not kill what was. He understood what she was asking. She was circling the word she could not speak, like a starship circling the gravity while it dared not enter. We have many words, Elias said carefully. Departure, farewell, see you again. Salith's throat tightened. Again, her eyes narrowing with effort. Say the one that ends it, she whispered. Say the word that seals the door. Elias opened his mouth and stopped, because he felt it. A pressure in the air, a subtle resistance, like the universe leaning in, listening, waiting to see if it could break her again. He swallowed. I will not force you, he said. Salith's expression flashed with something fierce, gratitude, anger, pain, all braided. That is why I chose you, she said. Because you do not worship my power, you respect my wound. A deep alarm sounded far away, faint but growing. Ilias's communicator buzzed with a priority pulse. His ship, the Wanderlight, had been ordered to prepare for immediate departure. The court was moving. The coalition was panicking. The choir was real and close. Salith stepped back from the window. We leave now, she said. If we wait, the choir will bind the lanes. If we wait, it will turn the city's languages into knives. Aroth's voice shook. Your Majesty, if you go, the coalition will fracture. Salith looked at him, calm again. If I stay, it will break, she said. This is not about politics, Aroth. This is about the spine of meaning itself, and mine is cracked. Ilias felt the moment lock into place. A decision that would reshape worlds. A queen stepping away from her throne. A human captain becoming the hinge of an alien empire's survival. Then Salith's gaze turned distant, as if hearing something no one else could. It is here, she murmured. Ilias tensed. Here, where Salith's voice dropped to a whisper. In the gaps between our words, she said. The palace lights flickered, not dark wrong, like the spectrum had shifted, like the world had been translated poorly. Aroth pressed his hands to his temples, wincing. I cannot, he gasped. The language is slipping. Ilias felt it too. A strange sensation of almost understanding. Everything and nothing at once, like waking from a dream where every sentence made sense until you tried to repeat it. Salith lifted her chin, and the holographic letters around her flared brighter. She began to speak, and the room steadied, meaning snapped back into place like a tightened cable. Ilias understood her words, but more than that, he felt them. They carried the emotional weight that made comprehension real. The difference between hearing a warning and believing it. Hold, Salith said. Hold to the people you love. Hold to the names you trust. Hold to the stories that shaped you. The choir cannot take what you refuse to abandon. The flicker eased, the palace stabilized. But outside, across the city, screens began to display strange symbols. Not Varan, not human, not anything Ilias recognized. A crawling script that looked like music written by a predator. Aroth's voice broke. It is seeding, he whispered. It is already inside the net. Salith turned to Ilias, urgent now. We go, she said. We go now before it learns your name, Ilias. Moved, instincts taking over, he contacted the Wanderlight, ordered the crew to launch. He requested clearance, and for once, no one argued. The docking ring opened like a mouth that wanted to spit them out. Minutes later, they were running through the palace corridors. Salith moving with controlled speed, her robes trailing like liquid light. No guards tried to stop her, because everyone knew. The queen was their translator, their stabilizer, their last thread. On the shuttle platform, Salith paused, staring up at the sky. The human ship was already lifting. A sleek shape rising through warm daylight. Ilias watched her face, soft expression. But a storm underneath. He caught the smallest tremor in her hand. The goodbye she could not say was already choking her. Ilias stepped closer, quietly, Your Majesty. He said, Salith. She looked at him, startled by the use of her name. Do not, she whispered. Do not make me human, Captain. I cannot survive it. Ilias kept his voice steady. You are not leaving to abandon them, he said. You are leaving to save them. Salith's eyes glistened, and the holographic letters around her wavered. I have told myself that for years, she said, but every time someone leaves, someone dies. I have watched it, over and over. Ships depart, promises fade. Love collapses into distance. The universe eats endings. Ilias lifted his chin. Then we will refuse to feed it, he said. They boarded the shuttle, launched hard, crossed the cities, upper lanes, and docked with the Wanderlight in a smooth, practiced arc inside the human ship. Salith stepped into the corridor and froze. The walls were plain, functional, scarred from repairs. The air smelled like metal, coffee, and old stories. A place built by hands that expected things to break. And kept going anyway, crew members. stared, some in awe, some in fear, because every human had heard the rumors. A queen who could talk a war into silence. A queen who could make machines obey with a sentence. Elias addressed them quickly, calm but sharp. "This is Queen Salith," he said. "She is under our protection. We are leaving immediately. No questions until we clear the lane." They moved, the ship thrumming with power. And as the dock clamps released, the interstellar city fell away beneath them. Salith returned to the viewport. She watched her palace shrink into a bright point. Her hands pressed to the glass as if she could hold the entire world in place. Elias stood beside her, silent, respecting the moment. Then the first attack hit. Not a blast, not a collision, a sound. A low chord that vibrated through the hull like a distant choir. The ship's systems beeped, then stuttered. Navigation labels flickered into nonsense. Warnings appeared in scrambled languages, some in Viren, some in human dialects, some in symbols no one could read. The pilot shouted, "Captain, the lane map is dissolving." The engineer swore, "The diagnostics are speaking in poetry. What is happening, Salith?" Inhaled sharply, eyes focused, she stepped forward, raised her tattooed arms, and spoke. The sound that came out was not loud, but it filled every corner of the ship. It stitched the systems back together, not by force, by persuasion. Elias watched the screen stabilize, labels returning, warnings becoming coherent. The crew fell silent, stunned. Salith's expression tightened with strain. Sweat beaded at her temple. Her power was not effortless. It was paid for. Elias leaned close. "Can you hold it?" he asked. Salith's voice came out controlled. "For now," she said. "But the choir is not trying to destroy you. It is trying to learn you." The ship shuddered again. A new message appeared across every monitor, in perfect English. "Hello," it read. The crew froze because it was not a computer font. It looked like handwriting, as if someone had reached through the signal and written directly onto their screens. Then the word changed, slowly, letter by letter, into something else. WHO, it read. Elias felt his blood run cold. It was asking for a name, a true name, the kind that anchored meaning. Salith stepped closer to the central console, eyes blazing now. "No," she said. The monitors flashed. The handwriting returned to Ushwai. It asked. Salith's jaw clenched. "Because you do not get to own what we are," she said. The ship's lights dimmed, then brightened. The choir's chord deepened, vibrating through bone. Crew members grimaced. Clutching their heads, words began to slip again. A simple instruction became confusing. A warning sounded like an insult. Elias forced himself to speak clearly, to keep his tone calm. "Crew, focus. Breathe. Hold to your names," he said. "Say your names out loud." They did, one by one. Voices shaking. Mina, Horha, Kato, Nadia, Ruth. Names like anchors thrown into a stormy sea. Salith listened, and her expression softened for a heartbeat. "Humans," she whispered, always turning sound into survival. Then she stiffened, head tilting. "It is trying a new angle," she said. "It is not attacking the ship. It is attacking me." Elias followed her gaze to the viewport. In the dark beyond the lane, something moved. Not a ship, not a structure, a distortion, like space itself was singing, and the note was wrong. Holographic letters around Salith began to spin faster, jittering. Her tattoos pulsed brighter, then flickered. Elias saw pain flash across her face, sharp and sudden. "They are speaking to me," she gasped. "All of them, all at once, in every language. And they are asking for only one word." Elias's throat tightened. The forbidden word. The ending word. Salith's lips parted. Her chest rose, strained. Her voice came out thin, torn. "I cannot," she whispered. "I cannot say it." The monitors filled with a new message, again in perfect English, but with a softness that felt almost kind. "Say it," it read. Elias stepped between Salith and the console, as if his body could block sound. "No," he said. The handwriting changed. "You will," it wrote. Wave of pressure hit the ship. The crew cried out, some collapsing to their knees. Elias felt his vision blur. Words in his mind began to drift. He tried to remember why he was here. He tried to remember his mother's face. He tried to remember the name of Earth. And then, through the chaos, he heard Salith speaking, not to the choir, but to him, Captain. She whispered, Elias, do you know what the word goodbye means in my first language? Elias forced his eyes open, looked at her. Tell me, he said. Salith's breath shook. It means, may the road forget to end, she said. It means, I am releasing you into the universe. It means, I accept that I may never see you again. And my mouth refuses to make that acceptance. Elias felt something crack. Open inside him. He saw the core of her wound, not superstition, not weakness. A refusal to surrender people to the coldness of distance. Salith's eyes shimmered with tears. She refused to let fall. The choir knows this, she said. It is pushing, pushing, pushing. Because if I say that word, I will accept the universe's cruelty, and the moment I accept it, I will stop fighting it. Elias clenched his fists, grounding himself in pain, in sensation, in being human. Then we do not accept it, he said. Salith stared at him. Breath-catching. What? Elias leaned closer. Voice steady and intense. We do not say the word that ends. He said, we say the word that continues. Salith's lips trembled. There is no such word, she whispered. Not in any language I know. Elias shook his head. Then we make one, he said. Humans make words for things we refuse to lose. The ship groaned, systems struggling. The choir's chord intensified, and on the monitors, the handwriting appeared again, larger, sharper, goodbye. It wrote. Salith flinched like she had been struck. Her throat tightened, her mouth opened. For a terrifying second, Elias thought she would break. Then he did the only thing he could think of. He spoke loud, clear, commanding. Not to the choir, to the humans. Say it with me, he shouted. The crew looked up, dazed. Elias kept going, driving the rhythm like a drumbeat. We do not end. We do not disappear. We do not release each other into nothing. Salith stared, stunned. Elias met her eyes and softened his voice into something almost gentle. Salith, he said, listen to us. We will give you the word you need. He turned back to the crew. On my mark, he called, stay well. The crew hesitated, confused. Mina blinked. Cato swallowed. Nadia whispered, stay well. Elias nodded hard. Yes, he said. It means stay in the universe with me, even when you are far. It means your road does not forget you. It means we are not done. He raised his voice again. Now the crew shouted, stay well. The sound hit the air. Like a flare, a new word, born out of stubbornness, not perfect, not ancient, not sanctioned by any empire, but real. Salith's holographic letters snapped into alignment, spinning once, then settling. Her tattoos flared bright gold, the symbols, rearranging as if they were rewriting themselves. She inhaled sharply, as if taking that new word into her bones. The monitors flickered, the choir's handwriting wavering. The letters of goodbye trembled, then smeared, then collapsed into unreadable strokes. A different message appeared. Slower. Now uncertain WHA, it wrote. Salith stepped forward, voice gaining strength. This is a human word. She said, it is not yours to steal. It is not mine to fear. It is ours to choose. The ship steadied. The chord outside shifted, no longer aggressive. Now curious, almost wounded, Elias felt language return in his head like oxygen returning after drowning. Salith closed her eyes, then spoke again, not just in one tongue, but in layers. She spoke to the choir in its own patterning, in the hungry logic it used to strip meaning. And she wrapped that logic around the new human word, stay well, like a thorn wrapped in silk. The distortion outside recoiled, not fleeing, reconsidering. The monitors displayed one final phrase, smaller, almost shy. Again, it wrote. Salith's eyes opened, wet but bright. It wants to hear it again, she whispered. It wants to understand why a word can be made, why an ending can be refused. Elias exhaled, slow. Then we will teach it. He said, we will teach it until it stops being a predator and becomes a listener. Salith looked at him, and in that look was 1,000 years of loneliness meeting one human refusal to let her be alone. Captain, she said. Elias, you just changed my skin. He blinked. Her tattoos were shifting, new symbols forming among the old, a fresh pattern blooming like dawn. Salith touched her own arm. Startled, the language is accepting it, she whispered. My gift is rewriting around the new word, like it was always meant to exist. The crew stared, breath held. Then the ship's sensor officer spoke, voice trembling. Captain, the distortion is pulling back. It is leaving the lane. Elias watched the dark beyond the viewport. The singing pressure faded, stars sharpened, lanes cleared. The Wanderlight surged forward, escaping the immediate trap. But Elias knew the war was not over. Because the choir had tasted something it had never tasted before, a meaning it could not consume, a word that did not surrender. Hours later, they arrived at a human deep station on the edge of neutral space, a ring of metal and lights built by stubborn hands and limited budgets. The kind of place that survived because people cared, not because it was pretty. Salith walked its corridors slowly, taking in the human noise, the laughter, the arguments, the tired kindness. People stared at her, then looked away respectfully, unsure how to hold a queen in a hallway that smelled like fried food and engine grease. Elias led her to a quiet observation deck. Outside, a small human ship was docked, preparing to depart, its engines warmed, lights blinking, crew moving, with urgent purpose. Salith's breath caught. She stepped closer to the glass, her hands lifted, trembling. The old reflex, the old terror. Elias watched her face, saw the struggle rise again like a tide, leaving, departing, distance. Her wound did not heal in a day. The ship outside disengaged, drifting outward. Salith's throat tightened. She tried to speak, and the air fought her. Elias moved beside her, quietly. You do not have to be perfect, he said. Salith's eyes squeezed shut. All my life, she whispered. People leave and I stand on a balcony and watch them become a point of light, and the universe demands I accept it. I cannot release them. If I do, they are gone. Elias leaned closer, voice low and steady. Then do not release them, he said. Send them with something that holds. Salith opened her eyes, looking at the departing ship. Her lips parted, breath shaking. Then softly, carefully, she said the new word, stay well. The sound was not loud, it was intimate, but the station lights flickered warmly. The screens along the corridor displayed the word in a dozen scripts, translating it without losing its heart. And somewhere out in the docking field, the departing ship's guns crackled. A voice returned, surprised and smiling. Stay well, your majesty. Salith's breath hitched. For the first time, Elias saw her smile without pain underneath. It was small, almost fragile, but it was real. Then the station alarms chirped, not urgent yet, but warning. A message from long-range sensors, a ripple in the deep lanes, a pattern of distortion moving like a slow approaching song. The choir was not gone, it was coming, curious now, hungry. In a different way, Salith turned from the window to Elias, eyes bright with fear and fire. It will follow the word, she said. It will try to take it. It will try to twist it into a weapon. Elias nodded, jaw set. Then we will protect it, he said. We will spread it. We will give every species a way to refuse the ending the choir demands. Salith stepped closer, the golden symbols along her neck glowing like a crown made of language itself. Captain Wren, she said. Elias, you asked me once what we call leaving without ending. Humans just answered me. She placed her hand over her heart, copying his old human gesture from the palace. And her voice dropped into a tone that carried the weight of an oath. I will not learn goodbye, she said. Not from fear, not from pain, not from the choir. I will learn something better. Elias felt the moment settle into him, heavy and bright. A queen without a farewell, A human captain with a made-up word that could become a shield. A predator civilization that had never met a species stubborn enough to invent meaning under pressure. Salith looked toward the stars, then back at the humans around her, and when she spoke next, her voice carried across the station in every tongue. Clear, warm, unbroken. Listen, she said. The universe will try to teach you that everything ends. It will try to make you say the word that releases what you love into darkness, but you do not have to obey the universe. You can write your own rule. Outside, the lanes shimmered. The choir's distant chord began again, faint as a memory, and on a dozen screens across the station, the first alien symbols appeared, trying to translate, trying to understand. Salith lifted her chin, eyes fierce now. Let it come, she whispered. If it wants our word, it will have to learn our hearts first. Elias felt a hard smile rise. He looked at his crew, at the tired engineers, the nervous technicians, the stubborn pilots, at a station full of humans who had every reason to be small in a universe of giants, and who refused anyway. He spoke one word, loud and clear, loud enough for the station to feel it, loud enough for the choir to hear it across the dark. Stay well. The crew echoed him, voices growing steadier, stronger. Stay well. Salith's tattoos flared like sunlight, and the holographic letters around her formed a spiral that reached toward the stars. Not a farewell, a promise, a refusal to let the universe decide what love is allowed to survive. And somewhere out in the deep lanes, the choir paused, listening. Not to a queen's command, but to a human-made word that said, "We are not finished."